Hello everyone and welcome to Bahrain, the international circuit here where they host Formula One races. As you can see behind me, it's raining, it's wet. We're in the desert and what do you know, it's raining and it's wet. Who'd have thunk that? The irony here is the past 2 days it's been beautiful and the 2 days after today are gonna be beautiful too, but we get the wet day. But that's okay because we are here to ride the new and improved Ducati Panigale V4 S. Well, as you can see, it's dark, it's gloomy, it's wet, it's kind of gross outside. Not what you would consider optimum conditions for a track test. However, apparently brought some rain tires, Ducati stuck them on the bikes, and we went out riding anyway. And I'll tell you what, this new Panigale is... I'm not just saying this because I'm at a Ducati event. If you've seen my past coverage of the Panigale V4, you'll know that I'm not a huge fan of the S model. The R model is good. The S model is all engine and the chassis can't keep up. With this new version of the Panigale S, Ducati's basically put a lot of the R stuff, frame especially, onto the S model. And I'll tell you what, in these really crappy conditions, this bike should be a handful to ride, but it really is kind of easy. I mean, I shouldn't say it's easy, but it's manageable. It communicates. The electronics work amazing. This is a head and shoulders improvement from the previous Panigale. It's starting to rain, so I'm gonna head back inside. So on the surface, you could say Ducati just put the big 1103cc V4 S model engine into an R frame, and while yeah, that's probably technically correct. No, that is technically correct. There's more to this S model than just the R frame and the S engine. But let's start with that. It's the 1103cc V4 engine with the R model frame that has less torsional rigidity for more front end feel. You can see the bike has the winglets, and yes, that was, first seen on the R model. But compared to the S model, the whole front fairing is redesigned, and while it may not look it, it is. If you get a view from the front side here, it's a wider profile meant to displace the air towards the winglets to, one, not only bring downforce to the front of the bike, but also channel air around the rider. Up over the rider, around the rider, you got a taller windscreen than the previous S model and a wider front fairing to divert air around the rider and bring more downforce to the front end. Ducati says at 300 kilometers per hour, the front winglets are putting about 37 kilograms of downforce onto the front tire. That's not insignificant amount of weight. Beyond the mechanical changes too, the electronics have also been revised. The Ducati traction control now is the Evo 2 version, which is a really complicated set of algorithms, but basically it reduces the oscillation during a spin as much as possible. And that's a big difference. That's something you can actually feel. When it spins and slides, it's not doing this big huck and weave as you're trying to gain traction. It's almost imperceptible when the system is kicking in. That's just shows how much further an advancement in technology Ducati is getting. Ducati has employed some of their race team side to help develop the production side, with this Panigale V4 being kind of that halo project for some of the race team people to work on. But getting back to the mechanical side of things, not only is the frame the R model stuff, Ducati has also raised the center of gravity of the V4 S. They've dropped the forks within the triples 4 millimeters. They've brought the center of gravity up 5 mil. They've used a shorter shock linkage, softer spring rates, but added more preload into those springs, so you get a more connected feel from both the front and the rear tire. There's several more changes. We could spend a really long time talking about all of them. Go read my full review at Motorcycle.com for all the nitty-gritty stuff about it. Let's get to the brass tacks of it all. How does it work? So the interesting thing about the Panigale V4, especially in these wet conditions, Ducati was saying how they've remapped the throttle application. to have a more predictable, more linear power throughout the rev range. You know, that's usually a bunch of marketing fluff, or I shouldn't say it's marketing fluff, but it's really hard to decipher what that means in dry conditions. You really gotta be busting your balls to push a bike to that level to get a feel for different calibration settings like that. Granted, we all want to ride in the dry, but one advantage of riding in the rain is those thresholds get lower, so you can actually feel a little bit more comfortable playing with those different kinds of thresholds, like throttle application and how a recalibration changes things and affects things. And for this test today, Ducati put all the bikes in the street mode setting because it was chucking down rain earlier today. And you can just, I hesitate to say this in case you like really take it the wrong way, but you can really just come out of a corner and whack the throttle open. You can see the TC light coming on saying it's activating, but like it's not hopping the rear wheel. The intervention with the TC coming on is so smooth, and like you can actually feel how gradual and linear the throttle pickup is. Now granted, we're in street mode because of the wet and nasty conditions. You know, it will feel different as you ramp up the ride modes, demand more of the power earlier, but that general feel of how much better, how much smoother the calibration of the throttle application is, it's really noticeable, especially at these speeds we're doing with the rain coming down. And so far, knock wood, no bikes have gone down. Part of that is because of the safety nets that these bikes come with nowadays are so good. People moan and cry and complain about electronics being the death of motorcycles, but we are well and truly into a period now where these top class motorcycles, the electronics enhance the ride experience. The early days of electronics on motorcycles, those systems hindered the ride experience. But now, I mean, we're riding around in some piss poor weather and having a great time. Large part of that is because these electronics are keeping us safe and helping us feel more comfortable to push a little bit further than we would have otherwise. And so, yes, should you learn the basics and the fundamentals on an analog bike? Sure, it's never a bad idea. In fact, probably after I'm done riding something like this, I'll go back home and hop on my SV650 with nothing at all on it and, you know, just go back to memorizing the fundamentals. But if you don't care about the purity of sport bike riding and you just want like the most fun experience you can have, these electronics well and truly are in an age where we need them to just enhance the experience and keep us from falling on our asses. So far, this Panigale V4 is more than just marketing fluff. The changes they've done to it are really good. I wish that maybe we can get some dry time on the bike to really at least get a feel for how much better this chassis is compared to the previous V4 S. The weather gods may or may not cooperate with us, but so far it's pretty impressive what this new and improved Panigale V4 can do. Alright, so it's nighttime here in Bahrain. Really cool track, tons of grip in the wet. What have we learned about the Panigale V4 S? We've learned, as advertised, it is quite an improvement over the previous model. The chassis feel is way better, and that's coming from riding in the wet with rain tires on. That's saying a lot. It's a lot easier to ride than the previous one. All of these things are things Ducati has really worked hard on trying to improve in the first place. The improvements have been a lot better. Nitpicks, well, the ergos, the seat is a bit, front to back is a bit tight for me. I can't quite scoot back as far back as I'd like to, but that's a really minor complaint. My feet slipped off the foot pegs a few times, but you know, it's wet and raining and duh, things get slippery. But in this just brief one-day rain ride on the new Panigale V4 S, it's hard to find major faults with it. It's a drastic improvement in chassis feel compared to the previous Panigale. The electronics work fantastic. They've nailed it with the electronic package on this thing. Really great bike. I can't wait to get it in the dry back home, take it to the track and put it through its paces and have a lot of fun with it. So go to Mo, read my full review there, And that's it from Bahrain at night.